Okay, so the next topic of your syllabus is the anti-hyperlipoproteinemics. This is your syllabus. So, before studying the agents which are used in the treatment of the uh, uh, which are used in the treatment of the hyperlipidemia. First, we will discuss about what actually is a hyperlipidemia or what actually is a hyperlipoproteinemia. So, what is hyperlipidemia or the hyperlipoproteinemia? It means abnormally increased. It means abnormally. Wait for a second. So, what is hyperlipidemia or hyperlipoproteinemia? It means abnormally increased plasma lipoproteins, which is the one of the risk factor for the atherosclerosis. That is the deposition of fats at walls of arteries, which form the plaque. So, that is called as hyperlipidemia or the hyperlipoproteinemia. Okay. So, what is that hyperlipidemia or the hyperlipoproteinemia? That is the uh, abnormally increased plasma lipoproteins, which is one of the risk factor for the atherosclerosis. Hyperlipidemia denotes increased level of the triglycerides. Such abnormality is extremely common in general population, regarded as highly modifiable risk factor for cardiovascular diseases due to influence of the cholesterol. So, as the name suggests, hyperlipidemia or the hyperlipoproteinemia means what? That is the deposition of the lipoproteins. Deposition of the lipoproteins. That is called as the hyperlipidemia or the hyperlipoproteinemia. So, if you check out now, this is the non-atherosclerotic artery. Okay, so there is no any deposition of the lipids in this artery. So the blood will flow properly towards this artery, from this artery. Now, if you check this, now if you check in this artery, there is a deposition of the lipid. Okay, if you check out, this is a crescent moon shape. So this is what the deposition of the lipid in the coronary artery. So the blood will flow in the less volume as compared to the non-atherosclerotic artery. And this is the stable plaque. Now this is what the vulnerable plaque means. What that is, the plaque is removed, or the lipids they can be removed by certain drugs. Now this is the stable plaque. In this, the lipid occupy most of the space of the artery, and there is very less volume. There is a very less space for the flow of the blood towards this coronary artery. So this is the stable plaque. Okay. Now these plasma lipids. Now which of the lipids are deposited in these arteries or the veins? The lipids are the cholesterols, triglycerides, and the phospholipids. So these are the different types of lipids which deposit in the arteries or the veins. That is the cholesterols, then triglycerides, and the phospholipids. These lipids they are insoluble in plasma and are transported in protein capsule known as the lipoprotein. Okay, these lipids, these are what? These are the insoluble in plasma, and they are transported in the protein capsule known as lipoprotein. So this is the structure of the lipoprotein. Means what? The protein is in combination with the your lipids, the lipids like the cholesterol, triglycerides, and the phospholipid. Okay, so this is what? This is the complex. These are different types of the lipoproteins. If you check out the chylomicron, it is having a very big size as compared to the VLDL, then IDL, then LDL, and the HDL, that is high density lipoprotein. So these all are the bad lipoprotein except the HDL, except the HDL. Why HDL is a good lipoprotein? As the HDL remove the lipids like the triglycerides from the body, and hence the HDL, that is the high density lipoprotein, is the good lipoprotein as compared to the other lipoproteins. So the first one is the chylomicron. So the first one is the chylomicron. Chylomicron, it is formed in GIT from the dietary triglycerides. Okay, this chylomicron, this is formed in the GIT from the dietary triglycerides. The very low density lipoprotein, they composed of the triglycerides and the cholesterols. They are synthesized in the liver, and this very low density lipoprotein is degraded by the lipoprotein lipase into the free fatty acids, and these free fatty acids are stored in the adipose tissue and for the oxidation in tissues such as cardiac and the skeletal muscle. Then the intermediate density lipoprotein, they are derived from the VLDL, that is a very low density lipoprotein, hydrolysis and also they formed by the hydrolysis by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase. Normally 70% of the low density lipoprotein is removed from the plasma by hepatocytosis, by the hepatocytes. And at last, high density lipoprotein, it exerts several anti-atherogenic effects. They participate in retrieval of cholesterol from the artery wall and inhibit the oxidation of the atherogenic lipoproteins, and it removes the cholesterol from the tissues to be degraded in the liver. So this is what all about the different types of the lipoproteins. So the chylomicron is a bigger size as compared to VLDL, and VLDL is bigger as compared to IDL, and IDL is bigger as compared to the LDL. Okay, so this is what about the different classes of the lipoprotein. And don't forget that the high density lipoprotein is the good lipoprotein as it removes the cholesterol from the body, and hence it is a good lipoprotein. Now next we will study the chemistry and the biochemistry of the plasma lipids. Okay, so in that we'll study the synthesis and degradation of cholesterol. Okay, so first we'll focus on what actually is the cholesterol is, how the cholesterol is synthesized, and how it is degraded. Okay, so this is the degradation of the cholesterol. Okay, the diagram is there which is in front of you. It is the degradation of the cholesterol. So cholesterol, it is a uh, 27 carbon containing steroid. Okay, so this is the structure of the cholesterol, and it contains around the 27 carbons. And this cholesterol is serve as an important component of all the cell membranes and as the precursors for the androgens, estrogens, progesterones, and the adrenocorticoids. Okay, so from this cholesterol, so this cholesterol, it is the precursor for all these steroids. Okay, this cholesterol, it is synthesized from the acetyl coenzyme A, which is shown in the figure. So this is the cholesterol which contain 27 carbon, and it is synthesized from the acetyl coenzyme A. So this acetyl coenzyme A is degraded into the HMG coenzyme A. Then this HMG coenzyme A is degraded into the mevalonic acid by the HMG CoA reductase enzyme. Then mevalonic acid is further degraded into the isopentenyl pyrophosphate. This one is then further degraded into the famicyl pyrophosphate. Then by the two steps, this famicyl pyrophosphate is going to get converted into the squalene, then lanosterol, and at last from lanosterol the cholesterol is synthesized by the 20 steps. Okay, so it's a very big synthesis Yeah, so we just summarize the synthesis of cholesterol. Then the cholesterol is enzymatically transformed by the two different pathways. Cholesterol is oxidatively cleaved by the enzyme des this one desmolase. So it is shown in this diagram. Okay, so cholesterol is oxidatively cleaved by the enzyme desmolase. That is a side chain cleaving enzyme. Desmolase is a side chain cleaving enzyme. The resulting compound, that is the pregnenolone, it serves as the intermediate in the biosynthesis of all these steroids. Cholesterol can also be converted into the bile acid and the bile salt. Okay, if you check out, the cholesterol can also be get converted into the bile acid and the bile salt by the enzyme 7 alpha hydroxylase, by the enzyme 7 alpha hydroxylase. Whatever the bile salt, that is the name of the bile salt, is the glycocolate which is formed, it is then re-enter into the liver, and by negative feedback mechanism it control the enzyme 7 alpha hydroxylase, and thereby it control the conversion of cholesterol into the bile acid and the bile salt. Now the next one is the overview of the triglycerides and the phospholipids. Now this is the biosynthesis and the metabolism of the triglycerides, which is there in front of you. So the triglycerides, also called as the triglycerols, they are highly concentrated stores of the metabolic energy. These triglycerides, they form these triglycerides they form from the glycerol 3 phosphate and the acylated CoA. Okay, so these triglycerides or the triglycerols, they form from the glycerol 3 phosphate and the acyl CoA and accumulate in the cytosol of the adipose cell. And when required for energy production, triglycerides are hydrolyzed by the lipoprotein lipase enzyme to liberate the free fatty acid, which is then that free fatty acid is utilized in the various pathways like the beta oxidation pathway, then the citric acid cycle, and then in the oxidative phosphorylation process. Okay, so this is all about the triglyceride. So how the triglyceride is formed? The triglyceride is formed from the glycerol 3 phosphate and by the enzyme acyl CoA to form the intermediate product to that is called as the phosphatidate. And this phosphatidate by hydrolysis reaction results in the formation of the triglyceride. Okay, and this triglyceride accumulate in the cytosol of the adipose cell, and when required for the energy production, these triglycerides are hydrolyzed by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase to liberate the free fatty acids to liberate the free fatty acids, and these free fatty acids are then subjected to the various pathways like the beta oxidation pathway, citric acid cycle, and the oxidative phosphorylation. If you there is a point to remember that all these lipoproteins, these triglycerides, then cholesterol. Uh, okay, so all these lipids are undergo hydrolysis by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase. Once they react with the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, then there will be the generation of the free fatty acids. These free fatty acids, they're stored in the adipose tissue, and when required for the energy production, these free fatty acids is released from this adipose tissue. Or these free fatty acids, they again then utilized in the various pathways as I have discussed. That is the beta oxidation pathway, then the Krebs cycle, or also called as the citric acid cycle, or in the oxidative phosphorylation process. Phospholipids, phospholipids or the phosphoglycerides are the amphibatic compounds. If you remember phospholipids, what is the use of the phospholipids? The cell membrane. Cell membrane, it is made up of what? The phospholipids. The main composition of all the cell membrane is what? That is the phospholipids. Phospholipids also generate the second messengers, and also they stored in the free and also they stored in the means after uh, the reaction with the lipoprotein lipase, they are get converted into the free fatty acids, and again they used in the generation of the prostaglandin. The phospholipids also used in the generation of the prostaglandin. These phospholipids, it is synthesized from this intermediate product, that is the phosphatidate. Okay, these phospholipids are synthesized from this intermediate product, that is a phosphatidate. And there are various examples of the phospholipids like the phosphatidyl inositol, phosphatidyl choline. These few are the examples of the phospholipids. So what is phospholipids? Phospholipids is the main component of the cell membrane. Okay, phospholipids are the main component of the cell membrane, and also they generate second messengers which are stored in the free fatty acids for the generation of the prostaglandin, and these phospholipids are synthesized from the phosphatidate. So there are a few examples of the phospholipids, that is the phosphatidyl choline and the phosphatidyl inositol. Now next one is the lipoproteins and the transport of the cholesterol and the triglycerides. Now if you check out this diagram, if you check out this diagram, whatever I discussed the regarding the lipoproteins, that all the lipoproteins, they are degraded by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase into the free fatty acids, and that free fatty acids are stored in the adipose tissues and in various other tissues, and or were required in pathways from these adipose tissues or from other tissues. This free fatty acid is get released, and wherever required for the energy, that free fatty acids is serve as a form of the energy in various pathways like the Krebs cycle or beta oxidation pathway, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the intestine and this is the liver, as shown, the intestine and the liver. So whatever the dietary fat and the cholesterol we eat, so generally we eat the various oily products like now we are staying in the Mumbai, so vada pav, right? Vada pav, samosa, these are the favorite food of the Mumbaikars. Okay, so whatever the dietary food or the cholesterol we eat, so that fat or the cholesterol, it get enter into the intestine. Okay, it is stored in the intestine. From the intestine, it form into the chylomicrons. That dietary fat and the cholesterol, it is get converted into the lipoprotein called as the chylomicrons. These chylomicrons are then degraded into the chylomicron remnants by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase. In this process, these chylomicrons by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase generate some free fatty acids, and that free fatty acids, they stored in the adipose tissue and the peripheral tissues. Whereas the chylomicron remnants, it is get cleared from the plasma by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase and then bind to the liver. Okay, so this chylomicron remnants, it is get cleared from the plasma by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, and then it is enter into the liver, or where the metabolic pathway takes place, and then it is get liberated from the, or it is then removed from our body. As we know, liver contains the various enzyme, whereas the metabolic reactions takes place over here, and then after metabolism, that our fat or the cholesterol, it is get removed from the body after metabolic processes. Then later on, now we will concern about the liver. So very low density lipoprotein, it is get excreted from the liver Then this very low density lipoprotein is get converted into the intermediate density lipoprotein by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase. Again, in this process, the free fatty acids are excreted, which is stored in the adipose tissue and the peripheral tissues. Then this intermediate density lipoprotein then bind to the apoprotein. This intermediate density lipoprotein then bind to the apoprotein, which is get cleared from the plasma and bind and enter into the liver. Whereas this intermediate density lipoprotein also get converted into the low density lipoprotein by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, and this one get enter into the peripheral tissues, and also few of the low density lipoprotein is get cleared from the plasma and enter into the liver. Okay, so this is what about the lipoproteins and the transport of the cholesterols and the triglycerides. So how these lipoproteins, the bigger lipoproteins get converted into the smaller lipoproteins, that is the chylomicrons get converted into the chylomicron chylomicron remnants, and then chylomicron remnants get cleared from the plasma and enter into the liver. Then how the very low density lipoprotein is degraded into the intermediate density lipoprotein and the low density lipoprotein. once Once they become the smaller size lipoprotein, then it is get cleared from the plasma and enter into the liver. Or few of the lipoproteins uh, get converted into the free fatty acids, and the free fatty acids stored into the various tissues. Okay, so this is what about the lipoproteins and the transport of cholesterols and the triglycerides. Then
मैं दो ब्लू कलर के बस
now the next one is the now we'll focus on the anti-hyperlipidemic drugs. Now these anti-hyperlipidemic drugs, it is classified into the 4 to 5 different classes, like the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, then the fibrates, then the nicotinic acid, and the cholesterol absorption inhibitors. The HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, they involve the atorvastatin, lovastatin, rosuvastatin, and the simvastatin. The fibrates are the clofibrate, ciprofibrate, and the gemfibrozil. The nicotinic acid, example is the niacin, and the cholesterol absorption inhibitors are the ezetimibe. So these are the anti-hyperlipidemic drugs which we are going to discuss one by one. So this is all about the overview of drug therapy which affect the lipoprotein metabolism. The bile acid sequestrants, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, and the ezetimibe, they decrease the plasma cholesterol level and the low density lipoprotein levels. Fibrates, the main effect is to stimulate the lipoprotein lipase and to increase the clearance of the triglycerides. Whereas the niacin, it decreases the plasma level of both triglycerides and the cholesterols. So these are what? These are the different classes, that is the bile acid sequester and HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors and the ezetimibe. So what is the main mechanism action of this class of the agents? That is the decrease the plasma cholesterol level and the low density lipoprotein level. Fibrates, what is the main function of the fibrate? That is to stimulate the enzyme lipoprotein lipase and thereby increase the clearance of the triglycerides. And the main function of the niacin is to decrease the plasma level of both triglycerides and the cholesterol. So first we'll discuss about the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. So these are the drugs, that is atorvastatin, lovastatin, simvastatin, and the rosuvastatin. As we have discussed about the biosynthesis of the cholesterol in the previous slides, we discussed about the biosynthesis of the cholesterol. So in that we have studied the cholesterol is synthesized from the acyl CoA, and from acyl CoA mevalonate is formed. From acyl CoA HMG-CoA is formed. Then mevalonate is formed. Then the isopentenyl 5-pyrophosphate is formed. Then the farnesyl pyrophosphate formed. Then squalene, and finally the cholesterol is get synthesized. Right. So our HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, they inhibit the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. Thereby, the synthesis of cholesterol is get terminated or it is get inhibited. So this is what about the main function or the main mechanism of action of the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. Again, this is a mechanism of these HMG reductase inhibitors. Now, this is the inactive prodrug, the drug like the mevastatin and the lovastatin. In this case, R is equal to H and R is equal to CH3. If R is equal to H, then it is mevastatin. If R is equal to CH3, then it is the lovastatin. So, these mevastatin and the lovastatin, they are present in the inactive form. By the metabolic process, they undergo hydrolysis to form the active form of this drug, results in the formation of the 3,5-dihydroxy acid. This lactone ring is get open to form the 3,5-dihydroxy acid. Okay. Now this ring which form, there is a 3,5-dihydroxy acid. It is somehow similar with the structure of the HMG CoA. It is somehow similar with the structure of the HMG CoA. So this active form of the drug, it compete with the HMG CoA for the binding to the enzyme HMG CoA reductase, and thereby it inhibit the binding of the substrate, that is the HMG CoA, for the binding to its receptor, and thereby they inhibit the synthesis of the cholesterol. Okay, because there is structural similarity between this active form of the drug and the substrate, that is the HMG CoA. So they compete with each other, and thereby they inhibit this binding of this HMG CoA to its receptor, and thereby the synthesis of cholesterol, it is get terminated. So the SR point is what? That is the 3,5-dihydroxy acid is mandatory to show its optimum activity. Lactone ring should be hydrolyzable. If the lactone ring is get hydrolyzed, then the 3,5-dihydroxy acid is formed. Then double bond between the carbon number 6 and carbon number 7, it can either increase or decrease the activity. If we replace this decalin ring, as there are 10 carbons in this ring system, so this is called as a decalin ring. If we replace this with the cyclohexane, then it decreases the activity. Again, if we replace this decalin ring with the pyrimidine, indole or pyrrole, then the activity is tolerated, or there is certain increase in activities observed. The absolute stereochemistry of the third and the fifth hydroxy group should be in the R configuration. Then the methyl substitution at this position, it increases the activity. If we check the previous structure, so there is a methyl group over here. So methyl group is mandatory to increase the activity. Beta hydroxy substitution at this position, it increases the hydrophilicity and the cellular specificity. So these few are the SAR points of these HMG CoA reductase inhibitors or the statin derivatives. So these are the brief SR point. I just summarized that SR points in this slide. So refer this. Okay. So all the points are same. So you have to refer this. But just I have summarized these points over here. So अगर आपने ये भी याद रखे तो भी चलेगा. Okay. Then now we will discuss about the drugs. So these are the different drugs of the HMG CoA reductase inhibitors: lovastatin, simvastatin, atorvastatin, and the rosuvastatin. So these are what HMG CoA reductase inhibitors, and these are there in our syllabus. So now now this is the ring, but in the previous slide we nomenclate this ring as a decalin ring, but as per IUPAC nomenclature, we nomenclate it as a naphthalene ring. But there is a double bond is missed, so we'll nomenclate it as a hydro, right? Okay, fine. So if you check out this structure, so there is a ester functional group, right? There is a ester functional group. So how we nomenclate the ester? That is alkyl alkanoate. Alkyl group, which alkyl group? That is the that alkyl group which is directly attached to the oxygen. Now in this case, this whole group is attached to this oxygen. So we have to nomenclate first this whole group. Okay. So we'll start numbering. So we'll start numbering from this carbon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. As we have to start numbering from this carbon, because this oxygen is directly attached to this carbon. So we'll start the numbering from this carbon, and this is the 8th position. So 8 dash. Then here are two carbons. So carbon number 1, carbon number 2. So after 8 dash, 2 dash, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 hydroxy. Okay, 4 hydroxy. Then 6 oxo, 6 oxo, tetrahydro, 2H pyran, tetrahydro, 2H pyran. Why tetrahydro? Because there is a missing of the two double bonds, hence we nominated it as a tetrahydro. 2H pyran, 2YL, because we started numbering from this oxygen. So 1, 2, 2YL, ethyl, ethyl, 3, 7 dimethyl, 3, 7 dimethyl, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 8A, hexahydronaphthalene. Okay, hexahydronaphthalene, as the three double bonds are missed. So we noted it as a hexahydronaphthalene, 1YL, 2, 2 dimethyl. Now how many carbons are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and is a ester functional group. So 2,2-dimethyl butanoate. So this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the simvastatin. If we have to nominate the lovastatin, then only you have to nominate it over here, that is a 2-methyl. Okay, only 2-methyl and at last butanoate. So there is only a little bit difference between the IUPAC nomenclature of the lovastatin and the simvastatin. Everything is same except there is only one methyl group in the lovastatin. So over here the IUPAC nomenclature will be changed. So it becomes hexahydronaphthalene, 1YL, 2-methyl butanoate. Okay, so that is what the IUPAC nomenclature of the lovastatin. Now we will discuss about the IUPAC nomenclature of the atorvastatin. Okay, the IUPAC nomenclature of the atorvastatin. Now if you check out the structure, so there is a acid COOH. Now over here it is shown in the form of the salt. Over here it is shown in the form of the salt, but we nominated it as a acid. So how many carbons are there in the acid? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are total 7 carbons in a straight chain of that acid. So our highest priority group over here is acid. In the previous structure it was the ester. Over here it is the acid. So we'll start our IUPAC nomenclature from the 7th position. So 7 dash, 7 dash, 1, 2. So the numbering of this ring is start from this nitrogen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is the anti-clockwise numbering. So 1, 2, 2 dash, then 4 fluorophenyl, then 3 dash phenyl, then 4 dash, 4 dash phenyl amino carbonyl, 5 dash propan 2YL. Then the name of the ring is the pyrrole, 1YL, pyrrole 1YL, 3 5 dihydroxy. How many carbons are there in a straight chain? 7 carbons. So it is a heptanoic acid. Okay, so it is what the IUPAC nomenclature of the atorvastatin. And at last rosuvastatin. The next one is the rosuvastatin. Now again in this structure there is acid. Again, how many carbons are there? 7 carbons, but there is a presence of the double bond in between the carbon number 6 and the 7. Okay, so it is called as a heptenoic acid, 6 heptenoic acid. So again we'll start our episode from the 7th position. So 7 dash, 7 dash. Again over here in the previous structure it was a pyrrole ring. It was a pyrrole ring. Now in this case it is a pyrimidine ring. Okay, so after 7 dash we'll start the numbering from this nitrogen. 1 2 3 4. 4 dash, 4 fluorophenyl. Then 2 dash, 1 2 2 dash. After 2 dash, n methyl, n methyl. Then methane sulfonamido, methane sulfonamido. So this SO2 NH2, because first what we nominated n methyl, then again we have to nominate this n, so it is the methyl sulfonamido, that's the SO2 NH2. Then 6 dash, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 6 dash propan 2YL, pyrimidine 5YL, 3 dihydroxy 6 heptenoic acid. So this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the rosuvastatin. So this is what all about the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. So there are these 4 drugs: lovastatin, simvastatin, atorvastatin, and the rosuvastatin. As this is what this is all the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. Means what? They inhibit the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme. Once we inhibit this HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, then the biosynthesis of cholesterol is get terminated. Then the lovastatin and the simvastatin, these are the inactive prodrug, and they must undergo a hydrolysis process to produce their active drugs. The active form of this compound, as well as most of the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, they undergo extensive first-pass metabolism. In the case of the atorvastatin, the ortho and the para-hydroxylated metabolites are equiactive with the parent compound and contribute significantly to the overall activity of the drug. In the case of the rosuvastatin, it is metabolized to a limited form, an N-desmethyl metabolite, and contribute to the activity, but it is 7-fold less potent. So this is what about the metabolism of our HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. Regarding the pharmacokinetic parameters, these HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, they require approximately 2 weeks to demonstrate an initial lowering of the plasma cholesterol. So their activity time is very high, means they show its activity after the 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks they decrease the plasma cholesterol level. The peak reduction of the plasma cholesterol occur after 4 to 6 weeks of therapy for the most of the compounds. Studies with the atorvastatin, however, indicate that it may only need 2 weeks to produce its peak reduction. So atorvastatin is more potent as compared to the lovastatin, simvastatin, and the rosuvastatin. Atorvastatin and the rosuvastatin also are unique in that they have much longer duration of action than the other compounds. Okay, so the atorvastatin and the rosuvastatin, they show its activity within a very less period, and also their duration of action is very longer. Oral bioavailability of this class of the drug generally is low, and this HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor administered in the evening or at the bedtime. Then the next class is the fibrates. Okay. Mute नव्हतं केलं का? Okay. Okay, and now the next class is the fibrates. So first class which we have covered, that is the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. Now the next one is the fibrates. So these are the different drugs, like the clofibrate. It is metabolized into the clofibric acid, then the gemfibrozil and the fenofibrate. So over here I have drawn the structure of the 3 drugs, that is the clofibrate, then gemfibrozil, and the fenofibrate. And the clofibric acid, it is a metabolic product of the clofibrate. So this is what about the SR of the fibrates. So the first point is the aromatic ring. So in this case, this one, okay, so that is a parachlorophenyl ring. So the parachloro or the chlorine containing cyclopropyl ring or any of the aromatic ring, it longer the half life of that particular drug. So there should be a aromatic ring with the chlorine at the para position. Then the O spacer group, O spacer group. So this one, O spacer group, right? So these two carbons are here right now. So this is the O spacer group. So phenoxy most common, N-propyl is also used. So this O spacer group is in that phenoxy is most common in most of the drugs. In few of the drugs, the N-propyl, that is the straight chain 3 carbons, that is the propane chain, is also there, which act as a O spacer group. Then this group, that is this group is essential for the activity. So this group is required to show its activity. So this is all about the SAR. So chemically fibrates are the chemically classified as the analogs of the phenoxyisobutyric acid. The isobutyric acid group is essential for the activity. So this group is called as the isobutyric acid group. So this group is essential for the activity. Then the substitution at the para position of the aromatic ring with a chloro group or chlorine containing isopropyl ring produces compound with significantly longer half-life compound. Although most compounds contain phenoxyisobutyric acid, the addition of an N-propyl spacer as seen in gemfibrozil results in an active drug. So this is all about the SR of these fibrates. Regarding the mechanism of action, now if you check out these fibrates, so the mechanism of action of this fibrate is what? That is, these fibrates, they activate a receptor. In this case, the name of the receptor is the PPAR alpha. That is a peroxisome proliferated activated receptor. Peroxisome proliferated activated receptor alpha. So these fibrate, they activate these receptor, that is a PPAR alpha receptor. Once they activate this PPAR alpha receptor, they increase the concentration of this protein, that is the apoprotein A1 and the apoprotein A2. They increase the synthesis of these proteins, and thereby once we increase the synthesis of this protein, there will be a increase in the plasma high density lipoprotein level is observed. As we have discussed in earlier slides, that is the high density lipoproteins are giving the beneficial effect as compared to the other types of the lipoprotein, that is the chylomicrons, LDL, VLDL, IDL. So they all are the bad lipoproteins, whereas the HDL is a good lipoprotein. So after activation of the PPAR alpha receptor, they activate these proteins, and once these proteins concentration is increased, they increase the plasma HDL level, and this HDL, it excretes the triglycerides cholesterol from the blood. So it shows a very good activity. Then also once the PPAR alpha receptor is get activated, they also increase the fatty acid oxidation in the hepatocytes. They also increase the oxidation of the fatty acids. So as we have discussed in a pathway, that is all these lipoproteins, they get converted into the free fatty acids by the enzyme lipoprotein lipids, and these free fatty acids, they're stored in various tissues like the adipose tissue and the peripheral tissues, and when required, these fatty acids are released from this tissue. Okay, so after activation of the PPAR alpha receptor, the fatty acid oxidation is get increased in the hepatocyte, and once the fatty acid oxidation is increased, then there will be a decreased synthesis of the triglyceride, and the triglyceride in the plasma level is also get decreased. Okay, because as we know na, that once the fatty acid oxidation is get increased, once the fatty acid oxidation is get increased means what, all these lipoproteins or the cholesterol, they degraded into the fatty acids, they degraded into the fatty acid, and this fatty acid stores into the various tissues. Means what, this triglyceride level, that the lipoprotein level is then get decreased. Then later on, this PPAR alpha receptor, once it is get activated, then it is found that the apoprotein C3 synthesis level in the hepatocyte, it is get decreased. This apoprotein C3, it is secreted by the liver as well as the small intestine. So this apoprotein C3, it is what, it is secreted by the liver, and also it is secreted by the small intestine. And this apoprotein C3 is found on triglyceride rich lipoprotein such as chylomicrons, VLDL, and the remnant cholesterol. So this apoprotein C3, it is get attached with some lipoproteins like the chylomicrons, VLDL, and the remnant cholesterol. This apoprotein C3, it inhibit the enzyme lipoprotein lipase. Once we inhibit the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, means what, it is not get converted into the free fatty acids. It is not get converted into the free fatty acids. So there will be the no any availability of the fatty acids which is required in the various pathways. So we have to decrease the level of the apoprotein C3. So once the fibrate activate the PPAR alpha receptor, they decrease this apoprotein C3 synthesis in the hepatocytes, and thereby increase the lipoprotein lipase expression in the muscle and the vascular beds. So there will be an increase in the fatty acid uptake in the muscle cells and increase in the fatty acid oxidation in the muscle cells. And simultaneously, by this action, they decrease the plasma triglyceride level. So this is what all about the mechanism of action of the of the fibrates. Now next one is the pharmacokinetic parameters. The fenofibrate, it has much longer half-life than the gemfibrozil. Up to 2 months may be required to reach maximal clinical effects, because food can significantly enhance their oral absorption. These compounds should be taken either with or just before meals. Fibrates are approved to treat hyperglycemia and the familial combined hyperlipidemia. So these are what about the pharmacokinetic parameters. So it takes around 2 months. These drugs takes around 2 months to reach its maximal clinical effect, and these drugs are given before the meals. And these agents are used in the treatment of the hypertriglyceridemia and the hyperlipidemia. So now we will discuss about the agents. So the first agent is the clofibrate. So this is the clofibrate. Regarding its IPC nomenclature, we will come to the previous slide. Okay, so this is again the structure of the clofibrate. Regarding its IPC nomenclature, again now it contains the ester functional group. It contains the ester functional group, so we'll nominate it as the alkyl alkanoid. So which alkyl group is attached directly to the oxygen? That is the ethyl. So we'll start with the ethyl. After ethyl, carbon number 1, carbon number 2, then ethyl, then 2 dash, 4 chlorophenyl oxy or the phenoxy, then 2 methyl, 2 methyl propanoate, because there are 3 carbons in a straight chain, 1, 2, 3. So 2 methyl, which ester is there? That is the propanoate. So that is what the IPC nomenclature of the clofibrate. Then again, first we'll discuss about the IPC name of all the drugs. So this is what about the clofibrate. Then this is the gemfibrozil. Now the gemfibrozil contain the carboxylic acid. Now over here, how many carbons are there in a straight chain? 1, 2, and there are 3 carbons. So total 5 carbons. So it is a pentanoic acid. So we'll start the nomenclature of this gemfibrozil. So 5 dash, 1, 2, and 3 carbons. So 5 dash. After 5 dash, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is 2,5 dimethylphenoxy, 2,2 dimethyl pentanoic acid. That is what gemfibrozil. Then the next one is the fenofibrate. Now, if you check out the structure of the fenofibrate, then again there is a ester functional group. Now, which alkyl group is attached to this oxygen? So this one, that is the propan 2YL. So we'll start our IP structure from this propan 2YL. So propan 2YL, propan 2YL, then 2 dash 1 2 2 dash 4 dash, again 4 chloro phenyl carbonyl phenoxy phenoxy 2 methyl propanoate, because again here are 3 carbons in a structure, 1 2 3. So 2 methyl propanoate. That is what the IP number of the fenofibrate. So we cover the IP number of the clofibrate, gemfibrozil, and the fenofibrate. So again, clofibrate. Clofibrate, it is synthesized by the Williamson synthesis by condensing the parachlorophenol with the ester, that is the ethyl bromoisobutyrate. So by this reaction, by this Williamson synthesis, the clofibrate is formed. Also, the clofibrate is formed by the interaction of the mixture of the acetone with the parachlorophenol and the chloroform in the excess of the potassium hydroxide to form the clofibrate. The acid obtained by either of these methods is esterified to give the clofibrate. Okay, so they give the acid. Okay, so they give the acid, that's the clofibric acid, which is then esterified to give the clofibrate. Both the acid, that is the clofibric acid, and the ester are the active. The latter, however, is preferred for the medicinal use. That is the clofibrate, that is the esteric compound, that is the clofibrate, instead of the clofibric acid, is preferred for the medicinal use. This clofibrate is hydrolyzed rapidly to 2-parachlorophenoxy 2-methyl propionic acid by esterases in vivo, and it is bound to the serum albumin and circulates in the blood. It is absorbed more slowly and to a smaller extent than is the ester. The aluminum salt of the acid gives even lower blood volume, lower blood level than parachlorophenoxy 2-methyl propionic acid. So this is all about the clofibrate. Then the next one is the gemfibrozil. It is a congener of the clofibrate that was used first in the treatment of the hyperlipoproteinemia in the mid 1970s. And after the discovery of the clofibrate, the gemfibrozil is discovered. Its mechanism of action, its use, its therapeutic application is similar to those of the clofibrate. So what is the mechanism of action of this clofibrate? So we have already discussed that is they activate the PPAR alpha receptor, and thereby they show its beneficial effect. This gemfibrozil, it reduces the plasma level of the very low density lipoprotein triglycerides and stimulate the clearance of the VLDL from the plasma. How it stimulates the clearance of VLDL from the plasma? That is, from the plasma, it is get cleared by the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, and then they enter into the liver. Over there, they bind to its particular receptor, and from liver, the metabolism takes place, and then it is get excreted from the body. The drug has little effect on cholesterol plasma level, but does not cause increase of the HDL. Gemfibrozil is absorbed quickly from the gut and excreted unchanged in the urine. It has plasma half-life of the 1.5 hour, but reduction of plasma VLDL concentration takes place 2 and the 5 days to become evident. The peak effect of its hyperlipidemic action may take around 4 weeks to become the manifest. Then the next one, now this is what there are only 2 drugs in the fibrates. Now the next one is the ezetimibe. Ezetimibe is the cholesterol absorption inhibitor. It is a cholesterol absorption inhibitor. So this is the structure of the ezetimibe, as it contains the azacitidine ring, which we have covered in the penicillins, right? In the penicillins, there was a ring like this. The name of the ring is the azacitidine. In the penicillin, it is called as a penam ring, right? If you recall the things. So the name of the ring is what? Azatidine ring. So we will nomenclate the structure. So the numbering of the ring start from this nitrogen. So 1 dash 4 fluorophenyl, 1 dash 4 fluorophenyl, then 1 2 3 3 dash, wait for a second, yes, 1 2 3 3 dash, then again 1 2 3 3 dash, 4 fluorophenyl, 3 hydroxypropyl, then 4 dash 4 hydroxyphenyl azatidine 2-on, azatidine 2-on. This is the IUPAC number of the ezetimibe. Ezetimibe is what? It is a cholesterol absorption inhibitor. So as the name suggests, it lower the plasma cholesterol level by inhibiting the absorption of the cholesterol at the brush border of the small intestine. Ezetimibe appears to be selective in its action, means it selectively lowers the plasma cholesterol level. The decreased absorption of cholesterol eventually leads to enhanced receptor mediated LDL uptake. So this is what about the ezetimibe is discovered. First the compound C is discovered, then the compound D is discovered, and at last the ezetimibe is discovered. So they have not given any name, so they just call it as a compound C and the compound D, and finally the ezetimibe is synthesized. So the discovery of the ezetimibe and its mechanism of action is began with a desire to develop novel acyl-CoA cholesterol acyltransferase inhibitors. Compound C was one of the initial azatidinones tested for the ability to inhibit this enzyme, that is acyl-CoA cholesterol acyltransferase, and to lower the plasma cholesterol level. Interestingly, this compound C, having the ability to decrease plasma cholesterol, exceeded its ability to inhibit. Okay, so it exceeds its action to decrease the cholesterol level. Further SR studies resulted in the development of the compound D and confirmed that the cholesterol lowering activity of this class of the compound was independent of its ability to inhibit the enzyme ACAT. So compound D, instead of inhibiting this enzyme acyl-CoA cholesterol acyltransferase, it directly lower the plasma cholesterol level. Means there is no any use of this enzyme. Means it does not affect to this enzyme, or it does not inhibit this enzyme, and by without inhibiting this enzyme, it directly lowers the cholesterol level, plasma cholesterol level. So there is no any role of this enzyme. So by taking the analog of this compound D as a lead compound, as well as in vivo data suggesting that metabolic transformation produce the active compound ultimately responsible for the cholesterol lowering effect, structure modification were made that eventually lead to the development of the ezetimibe. So by taking into the consideration of the structure of the compound D, finally they synthesize our final compound called as the ezetimibe. The most important changes involved in the introduction of the hydroxyl group to help localize the compound in the intestine, and the introduction of the parafluoro group to block the undesirable metabolism. So if you check the structure of the compound D with the ezetimibe, so what they inserted the hydroxy group, and also they inserted the fluorine atom in the compound D, finally which results in the synthesis of the compound called as the ezetimibe. Okay, so this is one of the most used the cholesterol absorption inhibitor, that is the ezetimibe.